What is good, my Impact Wrestling fam? Welcome to episode 3 of Reaction right here on the TNAIW channel. It's me, Geoff, from wrestling. And we're going to be going over Impact on Access TV. We got some 5 hot topics, some things bunched in there, and then, of course, the news of the Australia tour and beyond. I want to thank you guys for watching this. Consistently great numbers, man. Watching it through to the, from beginning to end as well. So I appreciate you. We're at 380 in subscriptions, but that's not why we do this. One fan at a time, one friend at a time, and I really mean that. As Impact seems to be growing, I know we will as well. And the more we can include into this community, welcome into this community, the better. Let's get right into it because we're starting with Champ Macklin. I was gonna say Champion Macklin. Been a day. But with Macklin, he's out there getting a test this week, which is a good one, I thought, because with PCO coming up at Under Siege, I think this is a good time for Macklin to be tested with a more veteran in the ring that may have his better days behind. I hate saying it like that. But as far as tempo, momentum, how to work a crowd, how to pick and choose spots to keep the crowd into it. I thought this was a great test for him, and it was smart for them to give him Rhino here. And I really loved what they did with the Rhino and the footage and showing his history, so it wasn't just another throwaway match. They threw Rhino away at the end of the match. We'll see what happens there. Heath as well, but I thought this was a good showing for Macklin, and then he goes crazy. Now, I don't know if this is, the original plan. Obviously, Josh's injury had something to do with where we're at. But in the meantime, if he's going to be your heel, your tactical heel, as we saw him with Raj and Shira earlier as well in the evening, if he's going to be that style, it makes sense for him to pick and choose what he does and makes sure that everything he does has a meaning or a purpose. And later we're going to see PCO come out of the ambulance in which he put Rhino in. And be attacked by PCO. PCO's going to come out and attack him. So I thought this was good. He ran away. I heard some grumblings about that. But hey, once again, he picks and chooses his spots. It's more up here than it is physical. But I thought the match was good and physical. And I think it's going to be the next step for Macklin because he has the talking down. He absolutely looks the part. When you say champion, he looks like a champion. Once again, very Steve Austin brawling-like style, and I think eventually character. But for now, he's in a comfort zone and building upon that. I like it. I do. And as we line up more challengers, as I said last week, his reign is going to get better and better. The only thing I am concerned about that we're getting a TV defense here, and then we're getting PCO at Under Siege, and then we are getting a contendership match at Under Siege between Moose, Yuya, Gresham, Shelley, and Eddie Edwards. So we're already setting up his against all odds opponent. It looks like we're just giving him matchups, kind of like Bailey had. Let's make sure, let's get him a matchup here. Let's get him a defense here. There has to be a purpose. I hope it's not a short reign for Macklin, but I can see with all the stuff going on, maybe that's the reason they're feeding him, defenses so quickly. Maybe nothing to it, but something to keep your eye on. Either way, I hope he keeps developing as he has, and I think he will. I think he continue to do so. I don't think he's the guy who just sits there and gets comfortable. And I think this is just the beginning of what Macklin will become, or what he is, or what he'll look like as our champion. I still think the money's in the anti-hero gimmick towards the end. Once again, that music, the entrance with the light, and then him coming down and just, effing shit up, I think is money. But before we get there, there's going to be... Oh, I want to also mention that, he's using the wrestlers' finishers again against them, which is interesting. But just a little side note. I'm going to move on to someone who they look as if they're not protecting, but pushing into that eventual challenger spot. Nick Aldis. Nick is going to continue to look like a star here. I said this a few weeks ago. If you guys are new to the channel, I'll say it again, and if you're not, I apologize for being redundant. But Nick, I've had a love-hate relationship with Magnus. Nick Aldis, I'm giving a clean slate, and everything so far has been entertaining or felt like a big deal, or he's put some love and respect into the title and into the company, which I really appreciate. And with all this nostalgia being thrown around, he's the perfect person to do that. Same with Kazarian, going away for a little bit, or a lot of bit in certain cases, coming back and making amends, and letting the company make amends as well. It's not always one-sided. But I like this here, and is he a long-term thing? I hope so. I really do. Is the WWE hiring freeze, is that benefiting Impact right now? In some cases, I think it is. In his case, it's a matter of what he wants. He probably wants that big spotlight, so you can't fault him for that. At the same time, we are growing. We'll get to that in a little bit, and if he's part of that, even better. But for now, he's going to be facing Sheldon Jean, which I think is awesome, man. I said this weeks and weeks ago. I think Lucha and I talked about it as well. There's a lot of Kenny King and Sheldon Jean, and Sheldon Jean's very green to it right now. Who am I? Nobody. But we can all see what we see. The taunts and the mannerisms are all they're plenty. He needs the timing and pace and making them matter. We don't want to zipping up the hoodie Alicia Flash. I love Alicia Flash, but you know what I mean. He's got to work, and I think the perfect person to bring that out of him or to settle him down is Kenny King, to find that niche. They both have a similar background when it comes to the reality TV stuff. And so I think there's a lot of connections there. The natural charisma is there. The natural swag is there. He's going to kill it, but it's going to take time. And I think this is a great pairing. Do they go tag team? I hope so. I said this last week, or maybe it was the week before. The writing's on the wall for Kenny, especially with all these new ships coming in. Maybe, for him to sail out. And he mentioned the stuff with the ROH and all that. I just think that, say the writing's on the wall. Say Impact knows that, or say Kenny's made that clear, or maybe it's not. Either way, you put him in a tag team here with Sheldon Jean, or in this pairing. You ride it out for the 9 months or whatever. You build them together. You build, Sheldon up. And then if he does leave, him being Kenny King, you make Sheldon Jean be the one that tosses him out. Right? So you got a built-in getaway there, and it puts Sheldon over after 9 months of refining and tuning up his work. So I love that pairing. But back to Nick. He's going to get a victory over here over Sheldon Jean. Kenny on commentary again, which is great. And, I do want to mention the double-sided of everyone's, worried about, is this a short-term contract? He didn't commit to a full... One, I think there's going to be a testing out for sure. Yes, I think the options elsewhere could be something. Did we need something to help kind of cover for the absence of Josh? We did. So I think for, both sides, this works out well right now. Of course, we want someone who we can invest in that's going to be there long term. But if it's a 3-month, 4-month get, and he jobs out at Slammiversary or whatever it may be, no harm, no foul. But of course, we want our people locked up, or at least when you're going to invest them in the world title picture, especially. So I will say kudos to Impact for I don't know if it was in the works, but thinking on the fly at the very least, right? Inserting him into the main event when it presumably would have been Josh and Macklin for a bit, right? So kudos to them for that. And then also, I like to think that it pays off for us as well, because obviously there was that initial pop of him coming in. There's the what seems to be a point of interest, bringing back nostalgia. He fits that as well. So I think he checks off a lot of boxes, and at the end of the day, if he can stick with us long term, the better, right? We're going to move on to the knockouts, and I hate that I have to keep putting like the knockouts in one bunch. It's hard picking 5 things and covering a spectrum, especially in 20 minutes, but the knockouts continue to kill it. You start off with Masha versus Kelly, which I loved for multiple reasons. One, it made, it didn't make Kelly look weak. Obviously, she had the upper hand on the way out. Masha gets a dub here, and we're building don't like saying this, but a mid-feud of the knockouts division. There's nothing wrong with that. they were going for the DMC, there'd be nothing wrong with that either. So just because they're under the main title picture right now, that's what we're going to call it. But this is a super intriguing matchup regardless. I thought they killed it in the beginning, and then we're showcasing, I know it's a trope, but I really like when the tag team champions, especially when they're not in a feud, go against the champion and the contender of the singles. So I thought this was pretty cool. It was a damn good match. They got to show the Taylor Wilde being the first crowned to the first inaugural Knockouts tag team champion with Sarita. So that was cool. And the Coven, I can't say this enough. We've been blessed with a few tag teams here and there. Never put it together where we had multiple at once. I hope we're getting there. And there's some storylines that I think will play out to that. But it's really cool of how well they've gelled. And I don't know if accepted tag team. I hate saying that, but I know putting ego aside and doing all that is probably tough when you want to be that singles champion. Understandable. But with what they're given and the look of how they're presented and the little story and vignettes, they've been nailing this. Love this shit, and them getting a victory and pinning Jordynne Grace on top of that is a big deal. We'll see where they plays out after that, but it was a really cool spotlight on the showcase, or a spotlight of the knockouts this week, a showcase of the knockouts. And of course, at the end, we get Trinity coming out, making the save after the Coven attack again. Presumably it leads to, that must be the word of the day, presumably, leads to Trinity versus Kyle and King. Trinity getting a open contract, no spoilers here, by the way, open contract to Under Siege. Excited to see how that plays out. I think it's in-house, I would imagine. Especially with Jay popping up. That makes sense. But we'll see where that ends up. Either way, it was a nice way to get her on TV, keep using her in that star role. And kind of with the Aldis thing, same's going to go for Trinity. Everyone, she put out a thing, here's my road to Slammiversary. Okay. So, and all the sheets picked it up. What did they say? They said Trinity confirms to Slammiversary. We don't know if it goes past that. Okay, so lesson learned to wrestlers, if they don't want any people assuming anything, don't put out your next dates for the next 4 months. I mean, what the hell? Or next 3 months? Like, if it were 6 months, would it have been, we don't know if she's working past that? It must be a very slow news week. Because we're going to hit some. Same with Cardona. I know someone mentioned them there. I can't remember who it was. Was our buddy Gary who mentioned them picking up that Cardona story? Sean Ross Sapp doing his thing. Look, pro wrestling, all love to anyone who makes a living from it, who promotes it. But when you're picking out things like Cardona, like, I'm a Knicks fan, obviously, so Knicks for clicks, I understand it. I think the same goes for Impact. And I'll talk about that a little more with Australia, about no matter what you do kind of thing. But you just got to let what people say just brush off your shoulder. We got Trinity. She's here, man. Let's enjoy her while she's here. We got Nick Aldis for the time, whatever it is. Let's enjoy him while he's here, man. Don't let these turds ruin our good time. So Knockout's killing it. Trinity, still using her like a star, still getting the rub from that, from her popping up, and then Alicia Fox coming out saying she wants to be part of Impact as well. So some cool people paying attention to Impact, and there's nothing wrong with, maybe the dudes pass us up a bit. Feature what you feature, do what you do the best, and a Knockouts division has been a staple of this company since 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone knows the crop of talent. Keep growing upon it. Keep that reputation up. And then when these Trinities come along, or whoever it may be, you strike. So kudos to the team and to the Knockouts who continuously destroy every time they're out there, man. Good stuff. Next up is the tag division. Not going to spend too long on it, but I just want to say kudos for them for building it back up. I know we just talked about the tag, Knockouts tag, and we're in that process. But we have Ace and Bay. They're going to be, at least Ace is going to go against Zicky Dice. So you get the potential of Swinger and Dice and the tag team there. possible matchup. Don't see it happening, but, you know, it's at least alluding to the fact that the matchup was staying within the tag division. You had the Good Hands picking up Brian Myers, man, the Learning Tree 2.0, if you will. Either way, really like this. It was a surprise for Good Hands to win for me. I dug that. Decay is someone that I said should be perennially, annually, whatever the hell, however you want to say it, week to week, should be in the thick of things with the tag division. And now that we're including the Subculture, which is cool, Mandrew's making his way back here. Subculture getting a matchup at a title matchup at Under Siege. We're having a bunch of smaller guys that can put on a certain kind of match. Okay, not all high flying, but a certain style. To add Taurus to that division on a regular basis, you're building, and Steve as well. You're creating another variable to the tag division that the others don't bring. And I really hope that, they continue. It doesn't look like the Good Hands and Decay are done with each other. Love the Myers, integration within the Good Hands. And also Moose questioning if, Myers' head is in the right place. But the thing I want to mention, because I saw before anyone rumbles about, Taurus, looked weak, he got the loss there. I think they did protect him there. I will say that. What do I know? But would you rather have Taurus just be taken out by Myers with a sweep like Steve was? Or would you like Taurus to be pinned, yes, but after a double team finisher? I think that was the better of the two choices. Neither looked weak. And I could see Decay and Good Hands starting something from here, which is what we want, more tag teams. So I'm excited about that, excited about Subculture coming in. We're in a good place. And it's just going to get better, because once they, keep giving the Decay and the Good Hands and all these people that slightly more something to, something juicier to bite on, we're going to be solid. Last but not least is Sami. There's another tag team. There you go, the Design. So Sami, versus Design. This storyline's finally playing out, picking up some steam here. I want to make a mention of this because a couple weeks ago, maybe on the first episode, I wanted to give the Design their props. I think Cody Deaner has found his voice, his tone, his temperament, where he needs to be successful when delivering his new character. Still think he needs a name change, but either way, it's all coming together for them. I think, more juice, more somebody in there, not juice, but somebody in there to keep adding to this group will help. I love that last week, not this previous one, but they actually made an appearance here as well. But last week, the yellow hooded characters came back again. That was unexpected, especially being spoiler free. So it was really cool, man. Sami's in a point where he has to recruit some people. Looks like Rich is going to be that person, which makes sense. Who's the third? I think we'll wait till Under Siege. Maybe not. Is Kazarian. Kazarian made a statement of always, world titles always in my mind. But I'll be there for any fight where I'm needed. And maybe this is one of them. I don't know. But either way, I really like where this is all headed. Once again, would like more tweaks, some more things added. But at the very least, it's pretty entertaining. As with the whole show, I enjoyed that thoroughly, man. What did you guys think of the show? I thought it was a successful one. But as we head to Under Siege continues to get better and better. And that's all you want these shows to do. Keep pushing the pay-per-views. Let's start building fans. One fan at a time, one friend at a time, like we say. And the same goes for Impact Wrestling. And, let's see who tunes into Under Siege. They're building it up. And that's all you want them to do. Keep building. Speaking of building, we're going to Australia and occupying a building there. Yeah, bad transition. But either way, some surprising news, because in the 20 plus years of Impact Wrestling, they've never been to Australia. And they're going to do 2 dates out there, looks like with some local talent as well. But this is sponsored by the local government. This is paid for. So this is a big deal. And for Impact, who is trying to continuously expand and build, it's cool to go in other markets and show the fans over there that they're appreciated. You got to remember, sometimes we look through a very small scope of all the Nielsen ratings and 44,000 houses and da. Yeah, that's the U.S. How big is Impact in India? How big is Impact in Australia, in the UK, and so on and so on? There are, obviously things that they can measure to see how hot the markets are. But at the same time, you want to go there and see, put the money where the mouth is. Yeah. And they're doing so, man. So it's really cool to see them take these opportunities and make the most of them. This one being an opportunity because I think New Japan was maybe supposed to be the first, but something happened with, and Impact ended up getting the gig, which is awesome. But yeah, this is a really cool moment for us, and I don't want you guys to, dwell on the haters still. I still see a lot coming out and saying, like I said, oh, Trinity's there, but only for this little time. No one knows. Same with Aldis. No one really knows. It's the Cardona thing coming out of the blue, or whatever else people say. Look, as I mentioned before, and maybe I see it through a different lens because being a Knicks fan, but misery loves company. And it's a lot easier to get thumbs down than it is to get thumbs up in life. It's easier to get people to joke and scoff at something instead of buy in and cross the line, so to speak. So that's just where we're at. Let's not waste our time on those people. Those people are non-playable characters, man. and it's unfortunate. I want to retire. My point of this, I'm going to make it quick because I want to hit something and say my goodbyes. But the term, you got to stop sleeping on Impact, put that to bed. Retire it. These people aren't sleeping on Impact. They're ignorant. And what that means is they have the facts in their hands. If they actually watch the product, it's damn good. If they looked at the roster, it's damn good. If they wanted to find the channel, they could find it. If they wanted to find the content, they could. So they're going to keep making all these excuses and making these jokes because, once again, misery loves company. It's easier to get people to applaud your stupid, outdated joke about Impact than it is to actually stand up, Drew Galloway, stand up and say, or is it Rise Up? I think it was Rise Up. Say, I like Impact. It's much harder, man. But luckily, regardless if Trinity and Nick are only here for a time being, these are the signings and the little victories. Not only do we need to celebrate, that we need to let other people say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll check it out. Some are still going to have their shit to say. It's going to happen. It's been happening for 21 years now. It is what it is. All right. So 21 years? Oh my God. Oh, dated. But either way, be excited for the momentum. Impact is on and riding along. Australia is a big one. Hopefully UK's next, and we keep going from there, man. But some other stuff that I want to mention right here on this channel, if you guys haven't got to see yet, Lucha and I put out a TNA 2K fantasy booking, but it's a tournament right now. It's a 2023 Ryder Cup to claim the first, or to crown the first world champion. We had some people advance, so make sure you go check that out. They'll be coming out on Wednesdays for the 1 and 8s and the 2 and 7s. You guys voted on them, so now we have Moose, as you guys voted in, as the 8 seed facing number 1 Josh Alexander in Group A. And in Group B, we have a 2 versus 7 of AJ versus Rob Van Dam. Make sure you go vote for the 7 and the 8. The polls are up now, or should be. There's going to be an AEW poll and a Pop TV poll. So you could always be worse, guys. You could still be on Pop. Or Destination America. Oh, yeah. Well, either way, guys, thank you. Make sure you like, make sure you hit subscribe. I appreciate you all. Thank you for coming out. God bless and good night.